Hi, it's Anthony. As I'm sure you're aware, there are several ways to make the write-on effect in After Effects. There's the write-on effect from the Effects menu, and there are several ways to animate strokes that will create a write-on effect. But my favorite way is actually to create paint strokes, use them as an alpha matte, and use the brush strokes to create the reveal, like I've done here. As you can see, the different brush strokes are, if you look here, the different brush strokes are writing on, and they're super loose, fast brush strokes, and they're revealing the text. Let me show you exactly how I did that. I've just got a piece of text here, and then what we want to do is come down here and create masks from text. And I do that because you can't actually take this native text and bring it over here to the layers panel where you paint, but you can with the masks. And then the masks will serve as your guide for painting, for the painting. So let's just make that a little bit bigger. Come over to the paintbrush, and then just go ahead and just do the L real quick. Just paint on real quick, boom, the L. Now if you come down here to the effects, you'll see that you now have your first paint stroke. Managing these paint strokes is the whole game in this technique, because you can have many paint strokes by the time you're done with a more elaborate project. So you've got that paint stroke. Make sure it's not selected when you go to create the second one. Let's just start this O. Boom. That should be your paint stroke number 2. Yeah. Okay. The V. This is your paint stroke number 3. Let's do the outside of this E. That's your paint stroke. Should be 4, yeah. And then 5 will do the middle. What's great about this is that all the various attributes of each paint stroke are totally transferable to the other paint stroke. So I can come here and, starting here at 0, take the end of the stroke, bring it down to 0, set that keyframe, bring this out to just 1 for now, and then take that up to 100%. For that matter, I can change the color, the softness, the roundness, all these other attributes I can just vary, copy that information to my other paint strokes. Bring this back to 0, and then paste that stuff right onto the other paint strokes. Let's have a look at those. So now all the paint strokes are coming on at once. And what's cool about this is, of course, that you can stagger this stuff. And that's particularly important when you want stuff to either happen simultaneously or happen after one thing happens or another. Like, for instance, with this E. Let's make it so that the middle of the E doesn't start until the stroke is past it. And then at that point, we'll also make sure that it kind of ends at the same time as the other E. Plus, we'll go ahead and pull this back. So managing your motion all happens with how you animate the various paint strokes here. And then you simply use that information as an alpha mask. What you'll want to do is make sure that this paint on transparency, now that you're done, you want to turn that on. And then you want to come up here and make this an alpha matte. So as those paint strokes come along, they will reveal the text above. Now you'll notice that's blue. If you were to flip these, which you can do, and your original text was red, you could have your red text. Or you could come here if you wanted red text, and then let's say that stroke, and then you could just copy that stroke information down to the rest of the strokes, 4 through 1, Control V, and then make all those strokes that color. You can also, let's say if you just wanted the V, which I think could be 1, 2, 3, should be the V. If you want to, you can just take the V and make the V purple. So you've got some, you've got some flexibility there, and that's pretty interesting, I find. But the real money is when you're doing a different kind of project. Let's create a new composition. Say OK. Now let's bring this laurel leaf artwork into here. So this laurel leaf artwork, we want to try to reveal it. So let's make a copy for a reference. Double click it so that it's over here. And let's create our first paint stroke. Let's hold down the command on the Mac key and make the brush size so that it can fit in between here. Let's do roundness here. I'm going to go back to a round brush for now. So let's make our first brush stroke start here and come up the middle of this leaf like so, kind of missing there, and let's draw over the end of this leaf. Let's come down here and see our first brush stroke. That's our brush stroke number 1, stroke options, and let's pull that back to 0, set a keyframe, and then set that out at 3 seconds, and bring that keyframe up to 100%. So that is happening. That's nice. Make sure it's not selected. And go ahead, and this is why I had the brush the other way. Let's go ahead and flatten the brush so it's make the brush a little bigger, and flatten it a little bit so that it's easier to draw over these leaves. Right? You get the idea? So your next brush stroke is going to be going over this leaf like that. That's brush stroke number 2. And then brush stroke number 3 is going to go over this leaf, and 4. I'm going to speed this up. The main point is that you keep track of your brush strokes so they're easier to reference later. 11, 12, 13. All right. Now you come to the brush stroke number 2. You go to its stroke options, and you pull the end down to 0, set a keyframe, come out to, let's say, half a second, and take that up to 100%. Copy that end information, Control Copy, select your other brush strokes, holding down Shift, and paste. Now, of course, I pasted it to that spot, which I didn't actually want to do. Bring this back to 0 and paste. Let's pull these down here so they're not in the way. And you see, as the first paint stroke passes the first two leaves, grab them and put them so that they happen just as it passes. And just as this middle stroke passes the second 2, you put those there. And then just as the middle stroke passes the third set, we'll put those there so they can begin. And so on and so forth. So as it passes the 4th set, we grab the 4th set of leaves, and then the 5th set of leaves, and then as soon as it passes the last set of leaves, we go like that, and now the thing is getting painted over in a kind of a sequence. Let's go to let's turn that off. Let's make sure paint on transparency is off. Let's change this to alpha. And now as we come up here, you see that your leaf is being revealed. And like I said before, that what I mentioned before about flipping these, if you turn this top one off and you change this one to an alpha, you can actually use your original artwork with the original art colors. Sometimes that's preferred. You can do both. You could change the blue to green, or you could just use the original artwork and let the blue reveal that artwork. So that's actually, I find, a pretty good way to do it. Now certainly in real life you would do it much, much better. I'm just going to pre-comp this, and then I'm going to double this up and show me the scale. Uncheck this. Do this at 100, negative 100, and then I've got actually a simultaneous reveal on those. And if I was to just go to time remapping and pull this out a little bit so the other one started first and then actually ended last, that would make it look maybe a little more organic. And then you can just, quickly make what is kind of a complicated looking reveal. Naturally, if you were going to do a super good job, you'd take each individual leaf and you'd put the anchor point here and you'd make it maybe wiggle and grow, scale it up as it grew, as it got drawn on. But, this is just a quick way to show you how to use the paint tool and the alpha channel as a reveal. And I certainly hope that helps, and see you next time.